my name is Madeline, and I am here to introduce Team Number Two, also known as Girl Gang. We worked with Houses into Homes, a nonprofit in Iowa City that started in 2017, and we spoke with the two co-founders of the organization, Tia and Selena. We started by emailing Tia and eventually set up a time to meet with the two of them over Zoom, and we gained a lot of really great information from them, so that was great. To start this off, we just want to start with the recommendations that we have for them that we found just from reviewing the information that they did provide us. So firstly, just want to talk a little bit about their budget and a couple of recommendations that we have for that. So firstly, we just want to recommend that they provide more details on the budget section that they gave to us. So things like the name of the organization, who donated and how much. Being more specific where that money came from in their budget. And then also, maybe since they don't have a 990 form that donors can access or just the general public can access, that they would consider sending out a newsletter to those who donate, providing them with the information of how what their donations are going towards, more specifically. And then I do want to share my screen with you really quickly just to share the rest of the recommendations that we have. So here on the About Us page on their website, they don't have the mission stated here. They have the mission stated on the home page, right? If you click here. However, on the About Us section, we do think that they should reiterate their mission and then also add something about the Housing First initiative, which is where they base their mission off of. So having a little bit more information about that. And then, let's see here. Under the volunteer section, this is the information they have here on the website for the volunteer section. But we also just wanted to recommend that maybe they add something about the privacy policies that they have revolving around donors and those that they serve. So one policy that they have is to protect the privacy of anyone who has of anyone who they're serving. And so they should mention that here for those who are considering volunteering, so that the volunteers know that you have to obey their privacy policy. And then stop sharing really quick. And then the last recommendation that we have also has to do with volunteers. So they have 200 volunteers right now, maybe a little bit more, but they only utilize 15 volunteers at a time. So the last recommendation that we had was just to somehow get a little bit more organized on how they're utilizing their volunteers, maybe have a schedule of when specific people are going to volunteer, and separate the volunteers into who wants to volunteer once a month, who wants to volunteer once a week, just to make their volunteers a little bit more organized since they have so many.
As a fairly new organization, I think, or nonprofit specifically, I think that Houses into Homes really understands the importance of the reputation of their organization within the community. And with that, you need to have a welcoming culture and a welcoming environment. And I think that Houses into Homes does a very good job of really making it a exciting and welcoming place to volunteer and also receive help from and work with. However, I think that they definitely are a little bit unorganized. It's hard to keep all their information straight, and maybe they are so focused on being so opening and welcoming and accepting that it's hard for them to balance all their volunteers and all the different things they have. And they have like 200 volunteers that they could always call, but they only need about 15. And I think maybe finding other places for people to work, and maybe also just using everyone to your advantage when you can, instead of just only using 15, instead use more at different times.
Houses into Homes has three major stakeholders, which would be their families, their volunteers, and external partners. So families are given to them based on a referral system that is from the local and state government. Caseworkers and social workers refer families to Houses into Homes, so they become eligible for the inventory Houses into Homes has. Volunteers can sign up on the website. They have some volunteer forms that can be filled out there that include a liability form for volunteers, so liability is lessened for houses into homes. And then stakeholders would also include external partners. So they are slowly starting to grow their external partners in the community. So I think that would be a huge area of growth as well for houses into homes. My recommendations for houses into homes stakeholders would be to expand their expectations for external partners. Their families are given to them based on a referral system, so they work with the state and local government caseworkers and social workers to get those families referred to houses into homes. And then volunteer expectations are clearly stated in that volunteer liability form. However, for external partners, expectations aren't seen online on their website, or I haven't seen any documentation there. So I think to really write out expectations for external partners and their role in the organization would be huge. And then putting this resource on their website would be way more accessible to external partners to show that they are wanting to expand their reach in the community and work with more people. And then on the volunteer side of stakeholders, I think it would be great if some clearer and more concise guidelines for the role of volunteers could be put into that liability form, just making it a little bit more clear of what the volunteers are going to be doing when they are working for Houses into Homes.
Houses into Homes was not able to provide us with a Form 990 for 2018 or 2019. However, they did provide us with a profits and expenses report. This report indicated that they received $75,000 in donations in 2019. This is an outstanding number for such a new organization, and they should be very proud of those numbers. Houses into Homes also did a great job dividing up their yearly expenses and putting into categories that made it really easy for them to track where their funding is going. However, they didn't divide up their profits in the same way, which could make it challenging for them to monitor their growth. One recommendation we would like to make is that they provide more detail in their donation section. They should add categories similar to their expense report by including who is giving the donation and how much the donation is. With this information, Houses into Homes is able to track where their funding is coming from and allows them to monitor which fundraising events were successful and which they should be continued in the future. It can also help them determine who their target audience is and ultimately be able to create an achievable and realistic plan for the growth of their org.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and I got to learn about Houses into Homes and the measures that they go to in order to protect the privacy of people that are receiving furniture from them, as well as the volunteers that they're working with. So ways that they go about that are requiring volunteers to refrain from asking families on moving day any personal questions, and volunteers aren't allowed to take pictures or videos of the families or of the homes that they're helping move into. While it's great work, Houses into Homes works really closely with different community members and members from all around, so it's important to protect that privacy. And specifics of moving day and of the families that are receiving furniture are only given to the founders of Houses into Homes. So it's not going to anyone secondhand, it's not going to volunteers, it's only going to the founders to ensure protection of privacy. And while all of that is really good and helpful for Houses into Homes and the people that they are working with, it is not completely clear on the website. And I think one thing that could be helpful for Houses into Homes and people who want to volunteer, people who want to receive furniture, is if their policy around privacy and confidentiality would be more accessible or available on their website, maybe under the volunteer section, just so the community knows what the standard Houses into Homes is holding its volunteers to, as well as the measures it's going to protect the families that it is helping. All that to say, a wonderful nonprofit, wonderful work.